Yeah.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Anthony, as Zach said, and I am with the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. And just a little bit of background on the Renaissance Center. Many of you may have heard of them. We work to help small businesses launch and grow throughout the Bay Area. So our first center was in the South of Market in San Francisco. It is still there, and we have expanded throughout the Bay Area. I work in San Mateo County. I am one of 2 offices in San Mateo County, and I am based in South San Francisco, but I am serving everybody who lives basically from the San Mateo County line down through Millbrae, if you think about a sort of block. So South San Francisco, Daly City, Brisbane, San Bruno, and more. If you, I will send something in the chat here, but I would love to know at the end of this session a little bit more about you, but we're going to talk about that too. But if you have an idea for a business and this is maybe just your first dip of the toe, Renaissance is here to support you. So I'm really excited. I also have a guest today who is one of San Mateo County's very first Mikko operators. And Mikko, which you'll become very familiar with in this class, is a micro enterprise home kitchen enterprise operation, micro enterprise home kitchen operation. And so that's Crystal Gonzalez. She can say hi right now, but she will be here for Q&A at the end to sort of answer your questions as a actual operator of a Mikko. Crystal, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Gonzalez. I am the owner of Hella Bomb, and I run a Mako business. So I look forward to sharing more about my story and also my experience this past year.
Great. Okay, so we are going to be talking about starting a home kitchen business today. What is important about this is that I tried to make this not just about regulations. So what I want us to come away from this class in 3 weeks is to sort of prepare yourself to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you don't think of yourself as an entrepreneur. Maybe this is a side hustle for you. Maybe you just love cooking and this is something that you would like to make some money from. That's fine, but having the right mindset is going to be really important. I want you to understand the rules and regulations of operating a home kitchen business. I want you in the second week to define your unique value and your target customer. It's one thing, we don't want you to run a business in the idea of Field of Dreams. I don't know if you're familiar with sports movies, but Field of Dreams, he keeps getting this message. If you build it, he will come. Well, business doesn't work like that, right? You can't just be like, hey, I have this great product, people will buy it. So we're going to talk a lot about who is your target customer, what makes you different. And then the last week is about how to value and market your products. So today, just to split that up into like a little bit of a schedule, we're talking about your mindset. And I want you to understand your home kitchen options. In class 2, which is next week, we'll define your unique value proposition, your channels, and your customer segment. And in class 3, it's how to reach that target audience, how to value your product, and then a little bit of work on goal setting so that you can take this and move forward with your plan. I do want you guys to participate in this class. If we have work, it is to be done in this class. If you don't finish it, you can do it at home. I'm very, very happy to look over your work. If you want to, you can keep your video on. I can actually see you now, which is pretty exciting because I finally got a monitor for my home office setup. I do encourage everyone to participate. If you can't, then just that's fine. And one of the things that we offer as part of this is a one-on-one entrepreneurship coaching session for those of you who finish all 3 courses. And in that case, I will need some information from you, but we'll talk about that at the end. So I am Amanda. You can see me. I've got this nice screen in the background. I'm the program manager for Renaissance in the North County Business Resource Center. I am new to the Bay Area. I just moved here in July. I lived in Poland for 10 years. And before that, I lived in Chicago. I used to own my own creative business, and I definitely used to have the idea of, if you build it, they will come. I thought I had this great idea. And then I sat there day after day, like wondering why people weren't coming into my shop. So that's one of the reasons that I focus so hard on, that's fine, Jocelyn, no problem. That's why I focus so hard on making sure that our entrepreneurs are ready and have the skills and the knowledge to start their businesses. Before I was an entrepreneur, I was a teacher. I taught English in Poland. I worked in Chicago public schools, and I really like efficiency. I also was a journalist, so lots of career choices, and I think everything has brought me here. So it's good to meet all of you, and I look forward to hearing a little bit more. So yay, Jasmine is teacher too. Okay, so let's talk about why entrepreneurship. So as I said, you may not consider yourself an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneur sounds like tech bro. Entrepreneur might sound like a person who's run their business for 30 years. And you're like, no, I just want to open my home kitchen business. But you're still an entrepreneur. And so I want to think about you and your journey with entrepreneurship, not necessarily on the idea, but like, why do you want to own your own business? Why do you want to have this business? And what do you hope to experience? So I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. We'll talk a little bit more, but does anybody want to share about what's exciting you about being an entrepreneur?
My name's Christy. Hi, I can
Hi, Christy.
share.
Great.
I want to be an entrepreneur because I need flexibility. As I'm aging, I recognize, and I say that like I'm really old, but I'm not. But as I get older, I'm recognizing that I thrive on flexibility, and I do best when I can make my own schedule. And so that's one of the core reasons why I want to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I want the flexibility, and I want to be able to make my own schedule. And I like the idea of, while maybe in a home kitchen, it would be considered customer, but I like the idea of like one-on-one client relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I've always, been more suited for that one-on-one interpersonal communication style. So even though part of my journey has led me into a little bit of a teaching role, but anyway, I've digressed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I'm Crystal, and I really want to run my own business because I am not a good employee, meaning I don't get along with my bosses. I give them a lot of grief because I am very independent and just kind of like adventure drawn. And so when I get into the monotony of every day, I get very bored, and then I find ways to entertain myself. So this will.
That's a good way. I mean, that's true, right? I will say that part of entrepreneurship is getting excited about doing the same thing pretty regularly. But
that's
okay. In the beginning, you're like, it's still for your own self, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody else? I have time for one more.
Hi, I'm Darcy.
Hi, Darcy.
Hi. Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Crystal, and I'm not a good soldier. I don't really want to be in the corporate world anymore, which I've pretty much have had my entire career in. And other things, obviously flexibility and stuff like that. But my husband's getting ready to retire. So it's a good time for me to launch a business so that there's, somebody's doing something, and it's not, and we like to travel a lot. So it'll really bring a lot more flexibility to my life if he's not working as well. So anyway,
definitely.
and I make an amazing product. So
okay,
it's time to get it on the market.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. All right. So that's good. Second question is, again, thinking about entrepreneurship. Okay, now this business, right? I'm hearing we've got an amazing product. You've got an idea. You said, I want to open a home kitchen business. At least I want to learn more about it. So why this business? And who are you going to work with? Like, who will this impact and how does that excite you? Hi, Tandy Way. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Are you from South Africa? I have a friend from South Africa named Tandy Way.
No, I'm not, but that's the origin of the name, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about your business. Yeah.
I do not have a business. I've been cooking, it seems like, all of my life. My son started Jules' Sweet Treats several years ago, and he sold cupcakes. I'm always cooking, so I'm thinking I should do something. We have a nonprofit here based in East Palo Alto, and we feed the homeless. We feed students of nonprofits here in East Palo Alto. And we know that with nonprofits, you don't generate a lot of income, right? So that's what I'm thinking about. How can I make some money doing what I love to do? So I have some ideas, but we'll see. And we're in the process of crowdfunding for a food truck to deliver meals to the homeless as well. So there's a lot of things going on. Yeah.
Cool. We actually have a food truck class coming up. So, I mean, if you feel like running an actual food truck, maybe that's going to be some of the people's options here, but we have that coming in February or March. Okay, cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to speak. It's Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine.
I have had other businesses in the past, but I'm actually starting a luxury picnic business, and I want to be able to provide food because I know a lot of them you can't really provide food, or you have to, kind of partner with other people. And I don't like the idea of partnering sometimes because their standards may not be my standards. So that's why I want to do this.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Hello, this is Crystal again. I've been in a pastry shop and bread making and in a kitchen in general for like 25 years. And being tired with bosses, but having all of this talent. And I love feeding people. And I spent the last 4 years behind the scenes. And so people would receive my food, but I would never see them. And so I really want to get it back into this so I can see my customers, work with my customers, and feed them, because that is my absolute favorite thing to do. So, yeah.
That's great. All right. So we have a couple other people who are on this chat and on this class. If you would like to share, I'd love to hear about it. So we've met Crystal, we've met Tandy Way, we've met Darcy, Christy, and Jasmine. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves, your experience level, why you want to do this? If not, that's okay too. If you want to, you can put it in the chat and we can talk about it later. All right, so I said we were going to talk about mindset. So I do need your input on this. What are some attributes of a successful entrepreneur? If you have ever owned your business, what do you think made the difference for you? If you haven't owned your business and you've observed other people, what do you think makes a difference?
Hi, Amanda. Always learning, always learning more and more about your business. Don't just settle for what you know, but keep thriving and to learn more and so you could continue to add to your business.
That's a good one.
Because everything changed, throughout the years and months, everything changed, and you don't want to just keep like doing the same old stuff just because you haven't caught up with what's new or what's going on. So you do want to know and learn that as well. And then you could decide if you want to add it to your business or not, but at least you do know. And that's what I'm doing. I take a lot of business courses and things like that, even if I might not use it, but at least I know about it and I could add it maybe later on or or something like that. But I feel like you should always want to know more so you can improve your business if you choose to do that.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good point. Anybody else? Did I hear Shafia?
Yeah.
Oh, I hear Tandy Way.
Career and personal development is a must. I was also thinking like marketing, how to make a successful business is marketing. And I would say like business development, like to get the foundation. It's like a business plan. How are you going to develop that the business? And of marketing, it's like we need to get the customers right.
Yeah.
I've got
I'd like to, oh,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was going to say, being, you know, don't think that you have to do everything, and be okay to hire people, even if it's on a short-term basis, to get something done that you're not maybe, you know, good at doing. So anyway, I think that's an attribute of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Know what you know what you don't know.
Know what you don't know. Right.
I was just gonna throw in being flexible. Like sometimes when you get an idea, but you're limited by either what kind of equipment you have or the quantity you have, you're like not just know what you know, but like know what you're like, don't put yourself in the grave. I've done this the hard way and exhausted. And then I was like, I don't want to do this. So just kind of being flexible, not only to your time and your level of equipment, but just like flexible with just you and like inside of like, this is my limit. You know?
Yeah, I think that's really important. Shafia, I think you've tried to say something a couple times.
I would say some attributes of a successful entrepreneur would be that you need to be disciplined, you need to be consistent, and the rest will come through.
Yep. I think that consistency piece is a really important part. We are going to talk a little bit about having the right mindset, but I was interviewing an entrepreneur yesterday and I asked him, I said, what's the secret to success? And he said, consistency. That, you know, some days you don't want to get up and do the thing, but if you get up and do the thing, that might be the day that you get the new client, that you find the course that you want to do. And I also really like that you guys brought up knowing what you don't know. All of these are really good tips. But when I had my business, I knew just enough about marketing to be bad at it. So I thought, oh, well, I could do this. And then eventually I finally hired somebody and I was like, man, I should have done that years ago. That would have been so much better. So really knowing that and leaning into what do I know? What am I good at? How can I relieve the burden on myself? So I think that's really important. So the other thing that is really important about being an entrepreneur is this growth mindset. So Carol Dweck is actually just down the road in Stanford. She's a professor of psychology. And one of the things that she's done in education, so you educators that are on the line, you're going to recognize this, is this difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. A lot of the kids that struggle in school are those who have a fixed mindset. I'm not smart. Well, if I'm not smart, then why should I work hard at this? I was born smart, I was born athletic, I was born musical, or I wasn't, and I can't change that. And if you come into a situation like that, then it can be really difficult to want to learn, to want to look at things that you might not be so good at, to be flexible, because you say, you know what, I'm not good at it. End of story. And what Professor Dweck found is that students with this growth mindset that, you know what, I don't know this yet. I don't have that ability yet. I can always learn. These are the students that were really successful in school. And these are also the students who, you know, can become more successful and later in their life. And I also think it's really important for entrepreneurs. You know what, there's going to be days where you're like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm not good at this. And you need to sit back and say, you know what? What do I know? What can I apply? How can I find that information? I can always learn. Nothing about me is set in stone, and I can always improve. And I think that that is a really, really important piece. So our fixed mindset is, let's avoid a challenge. That looks ugly. I don't want to try it. What if I work really hard at this and nothing comes of it? It's not even worth the effort. Oh, you know what? I'm not good at this. No, that person's wrong. I am good at this, right? Ignoring that criticism, feeling threatened by other successes. What you will learn is that having a network of people who are doing something similar to you is invaluable. So you can just chat with them and say, hey, I'm having this problem. What do you think? And people who have that growth mindset is really about that, right? Okay, I've got a challenge. What do I need to think about? How can I embrace that? How can I look at that as an opportunity? How can I keep going when it's difficult? How can I see effort as the key to mastery? How can I learn from others? How can I say, you know what? You're killing it on Instagram. What can I learn from you? So I think that that's really, really important as we enter this consideration of owning your own business. It is sometimes not fun to be an entrepreneur, just like sometimes it's not fun to be an employee. But if you think about yourself and you say, okay, I can do this, I just have to try. Even if you fail, you still tried and you learned something. All right. We, as in the growth mindset as an entrepreneur, we acknowledge our weaknesses and we create goals to improve on them. And you know what? If it takes us years, that's okay. Right? I really like what Rufina said, that she's always learning, she's always thinking, she's always observing. It may not be useful right away, but it might come in handy some years down the road. It's funny, like 10 years ago, I had a summer job at Title IX. It's like a women's sporting clothing store. It was the first place that I learned how to do inventory. And when I started my business, all of a sudden I would receive these pallets of product and I was like, oh, I know how to do this because I did inventory at this shop like 10 years ago. How cool, right? But it wasn't something that I was like, hey, I'm really excited about learning about inventory, but it comes in handy, all right? Acknowledging your weaknesses, okay? It is about learning to see challenges as opportunities. I know that's like really rah, like positive mindset, positive psychology, but it is a really important part of being successful. It's learning to accept setbacks and even failures and saying, you know what? Just because I failed at this thing doesn't mean I am a failure. It means that I failed at this thing. And how can I either learn from that, or how can I take the lesson and hire somebody to do it because I'm not good at it, right? Like I can see that I'm going to need more time to be developing that skill. So how do I do this in the meantime? Always be willing to try. Don't worry about what other people will say or think. Everybody has an opinion about your business. All right. Everybody. You're going to have to learn how to filter it and say, that's good advice, or thank you for sharing that. I will keep that in mind. Learn how to accept, request, and use feedback. So as I said, people will tell you what they think. You have to figure out who you trust. You have to figure out who you know and whose opinion you value. And if they say, you know what, your marketing's pretty terrible. Don't be like, hey, I'm offended. Say, okay, what could I do to be better? Right? And then this is a thing that I'm not super great at, so I will say that, is to create time for daily reflection, right? We don't want to overthink things, but if you can spend some time in a situation where you're like, this is a really successful thing. What did I do that made it so successful? Or this is a thing that I didn't do so great. What could I do to make it better next time? Thinking about that is, I think, really an important part. So has anybody had a situation where they at one point were like, I can't do this, and then later kept trying, and then they said, you know what, it wasn't perfect, but it was okay? Anybody had that?
Grant writing.
Ooh.
So we worked on a proposal that is in my lane. But me and a few other of my team members got together and we successfully created a proposal, application, and sent it. Though I felt terrified, the way that we broke it down, it made it palatable. You know, it made it all right. So I'm getting better at even attempting to start the process of writing a proposal for a grant. I wouldn't say that I'm good at it, but just the anxiety level of starting it's lower than what it was. So, but I was proud of myself that I went through that process. I took a grant writing workshop for Renaissance. Yeah. So I am just kind of chipping at it, you know, trying to get rid of the anxiety that I have when I think about grant writing. And though I feel like it's not something that I want to do, I know it's a part of my business or my organization that I must have some knowledge of it. But I can hire a professional. So, but I would like to have some knowledge of all aspects of my business and my organization.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You know, it's good to know a little bit so you can ask questions, right? Even if eventually you give it over to somebody else. I think the best business advice that I ever received or ever read was, as you're working in your business or you're working in a role, you're working on a role, which means that, you know, maybe you're the grant writer now, but eventually you're going to hire a grant writer and you need to know what you're looking for so that you can hire that person and be like, hey, let's have a, you know, constructive conversation. It's good. Yeah. Anybody else? That's okay. One of the things that I have mentioned is that, you know, and I think that Tandy Way makes a really great point as well. Sometimes the things that are the scariest have the best results, right? So you might have this thing that you really don't want to do, and then you do it, and then you get the grant. For me, when I was living in Poland, I had a, you know, we got hit by COVID. That's one of the reasons I moved back here. So my business was hit really hard, and I speak Polish, but it's my second language, right? And I'm sure that many of you have people that you know who speak second languages, or maybe English is your second language. And to fill out those documents, fill out that paperwork in my second language to get the relief, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. What are they even asking me? What do they need? What is happening? And I would put it aside and I'd look at it like, no, Amanda, you have to do this. This is a thing you have to do. Like, you got to do it. There's no option. You need this money. And then when I got it, it was so satisfying to see that this thing that I was so scared about, I got it, right? And you may feel that way when you are submitting your paperwork to be a Mikko or to be a cottage food producer. You're going to be like, oh my God, how do I prove that? How do I show that? Where do I go for that? It's okay. If you take that step, you're going to feel better afterwards. And you might get the really good results that's what you wanted. So sort of my motivational speech. All right. So that's kind of thinking about your mindset. We do have a couple classes that are coming up about developing this mindset and thinking about, you know, what do entrepreneurs, how to be an entrepreneur in your mind, right? And so I can share those after this class. I also want to share right now, if you feel comfortable, because this is run by the library, I don't have a lot of access to you guys, but I did say that you're available. I'm available for one-to-one consultations. And so I've got this spreadsheet. If you'd like to share your name, your business, if you want me to send the slides, please add your data to this. And we will be in touch personally. My email, if you want to contact me, is also on my background, but it's Amanda at Ren Center. So I'd love to learn more about you. And I just want to promote the Ren Center in general, which is to say, we have a lot of resources. I will show our calendar and you'll see that it's kind of overwhelming how much stuff we've got going on. So if you need help navigating that and you're like, I don't even know where to start, talk to me. Let's have a conversation and we'll figure that out. So moving on is more about the micro enterprise home kitchen. The reason I designed the class this way is because first of all, I wanted you to think about, okay, if I'm my own business, who am I? What do I need to know? How can I be there? Then I wanted you to say, okay, is Mikko right for me? Right? Is a cottage food business right for me? Is a home kitchen business right for me? Because if it is right for you, then I want you to continue on. And if it's not right for you, then I don't want you to waste your time. Like, I don't want you to spend 2 weeks being like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. And then find out like the thing you want to do, you can't do from home necessarily. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is a home kitchen business? What can you make in a home kitchen business? And how can you be a home kitchen business? Okay. So what do you want to make? Is it tacos, chicken sandwiches, juices, hot soup, yogurt parfaits? Is it cupcakes, mustard, soup mixes, breads, tortilla chips, jams? Is it cheese? Is it ice cream? Is it smoked meats, packaged pupusas, like a take and bake pizza? So I did see in the comments, maybe from Jocelyn, that she is making cupcakes, dessert. So we got a cupcakes and dessert, people. What else? Darcy hinted at her great cooking. What I want to know what that is.
I make pickles.
Pickles. Okay, cool. Anybody else?
I do cupcakes, desserts, and catering of all sorts.
Okay, good.
Kind of across the board. Oh, it's a lot.
Okay. Do we have any comments? Granola, Indian food, certain dishes, possibly plant-based foods. These are good. Okay. We're going to hear a lot about Crystal Gonzalez's food later. She's got Filipino and Guamanian food, which is so exciting. So, but we'll hear about that. All right. Over the holidays, I was like, my husband's very good at cooking Polish food. I was like, maybe he should open a Mikko. All right. So here's the thing. Hopefully I can figure out how to do this. It's been a while since I did this. So if you want to serve hot tacos from your house, if you want to serve chicken sandwiches, juices, hot soup, you can do that as a micro enterprise home kitchen. All right. If you want to do cupcakes, as long as it doesn't have cheese frosting, you can do it from your house. If you have cream fillings of any kind, you can't do it from your house. But if you have it from without that, then you can do it from your house. Pickles usually can be done from your house, but you have to be careful about a couple things. Mustard is great. You can make that from your house, but can't include eggs. All right. So what you're going to see is this habit of like, okay, there's really limitations on certain things. You can't make cheese at your house. You can't smoke meats at your house. And you can't make something that somebody has to do something with at the other end. So like take and bake pizza, you can't do that at your house. So these are kind of the outlined things. I've used the word Mikko a lot. As I said, it's for micro enterprise home kitchen operation. It is legal in San Mateo County. It is legal in Alameda County. I'm not sure it's legal in the other counties yet. So if you do not live in one of these two counties, you're probably not going to be able to do the Mikko from your house. You can do cottage food from your house. Cottage food is legal throughout California. And I think that every single county approves cottage food. Okay, so that's sort of an idea. Yeah,
I have a question for you. So what is the difference between Mikko and cottage foods?
We will talk about that a lot today, but cottage food has to be shelf stable. And Mikko is hot food that you can serve from your house.
Okay.
Okay.
And what if it's cold food that has to stay cold?
You can sell that from your house too, as long as it's sold on the same day. We'll get into details about it. If it's not, if it's not something that's sold the same day, then it falls in this other category.
Okay.
Okay. Where do you want to sell it? Do you want to sell it from your house, or do you want to deliver it personally? So somebody was saying about their picnic business. If you set up this business personally, then it's okay. If you give this to somebody else to set up, then questionable. Okay, but we'll talk about that. Farmers markets, shops or wholesale, personal delivery, or do you want to use Chef or DoorDash, or you want to go to weddings? You want to do San Francisco pop-ups because you live in San Mateo County. As you can see, I got a lot of colors. You can kind of start to see what's happening here, right? Your Mikko is from home, or it's you personally delivering it. Your cottage food, you can sell it at farmers markets and pop-ups in San Mateo County. You can sell it in shops as long as you have the right certification, and you can also personally deliver it. You can't mail it. All right, so if you want to mail something, somebody's like, I love your cookies, and they say, I live in Sacramento. You cannot mail those cookies to Sacramento. Okay, they can pick them up from you, and they can take them to Sacramento, and they can mail them, but you can't mail them. Okay. DoorDash and Chef are tricky. Chef has become really popular.
Amanda?
And
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
I've always had this question about CFO with you can't sell it online, but something that you just said. So could let's say there's like a farm stand, I sell it to them directly in my county, let's say. Are they able to put it on their website and sell online themselves?
It depends. So I know that there are some cottage food producers who are able to do that. For example, I used to do what's that food? It's not food delivery like Locale. It's like
Is it Good Eggs?
No, it wasn't Good Eggs, but
Okay.
I know that they use things. As long as they pick it up from you, I think it's okay. That would be a question for the health department, but I really think that as long as the operator picks it up from you and then sells it online, it's okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Chef is really popular. I know that it had gained a lot of users during the pandemic, especially from chefs who have never done it, like who have never done their stuff. I see that Crystal has a question. Let me just finish on this chef piece. Yeah.
That's SHEF, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They basically what you do is that you prepare food and you package it, and you can have these days where you sell it. Technically, you should be doing this in a commercial kitchen. It sort of started as like people who were very good cooks doing it because their kitchens were closed to the public. But I know that Chef says, oh, if it's legal to cook at home, then you can do it from home. But the way the California Mikko rules are written, you can't do it because you can't use a third party vendor to distribute your food if you are a Mikko. Okay. So those are kind of the pieces I see in the chat. Maybe we got some questions. Okay, we go, sandwich catering, vegan burgers, keto meal. Can you be Mikko and cottage food? You cannot be Mikko and cottage food at the same time. You have to choose one or the other, which I think is a fascinating regulation, but it is what it is. You could maybe register it under two different people, but I think that would be tricky because it's the same kitchen, right? It's like one kitchen. You got to use one kitchen. All right. So what do you expect from this? I want to work regular hours and set a menu. So I know I heard some people saying they want flexibility. There's a little bit of flexibility in Mikko's, but you do have to set the days that you're going to be working. If you want to work part-time or on demand, that might be working better as a cottage food business. If you want it to be your full-time job, you might find that either one of these isn't enough for you. Okay, if you want to hire a team, you might find that these are not enough for you. All right. So we'll get into the details of all of this in just a minute, but Mikko is like running a restaurant from your home. Cottage Food is like having shelf-stable foods that you produce at home, and anything else is probably not either one of those. Okay, so we'll talk about it. So I'm going to start with Mikko as the topic because that's what we're here for, right? That we're trying to learn more about having a micro pitches. Can you be Cottage Food and other at the same time? That is a great question. I actually think that you can.
Yeah, I make wedding cakes.
Yeah. You're probably not going to be able to make wedding cakes at home if they have a cream frosting. But if you made cookies at home that had like just like a sugar frosting, you could do that as a Cottage Food. That is also a question for the health department. I did mean to ask that because I'm curious about it. I'll find out before next week and let you know for sure. But I think it might be possible. It's just that the other thing you're going to have to do in a commercial kitchen. So.
Okay.
All right, so what is a Mikko? As I said, it is a micro restaurant that you run for your home. So the biggest and most important thing that you got to do for yourself is to think about this as a restaurant. It is not a caterer. It is not a pop-up. It is not something that you can sell somewhere else. It is a restaurant from your house. All right. You operate with fixed hours and with a fixed menu, and that menu has to be reported to the health department. So you have, maybe you have 15 different dishes that you want to make. You don't necessarily make them all in the same day, but you have to say, these are the things that we are going to make. You can sell no more than 60 meals per week, and it has to be direct to the consumer. Okay. So as I said, you can't use a third-party business.
Who cares?
So who cares?
I'm sorry. I'm really trying to understand exactly who came up with the only 60 meals per week direct to consumer. I mean, what if I'm really good and I got really busy one week and I sold 80? Are they going to pull my license?
That's an excellent question. Actually, Crystal Gonzalez might have an answer for that because she actually helped craft the legislation for Mikko. Right, Crystal? Do you know why it was 60 meals?
I honestly have no idea. And in terms of crafting the legislation, I wasn't part of that process, but I was fortunate to speak at the hearing to get that piece of legislation approved in San Mateo County.
Okay.
Yes.
So Darcy, my feeling is this, that you have to kind of be first come, first serve, because you're also only allowed to sell 30 meals per day. So when you're advertising, it's, hey, here's 30 meals. Like, I'm buying ingredients for 30 meals. I am advertising for 30 meals. And when those 30 meals are up, those 30 meals are up. I have no idea. I think the feeling is that if you sold more, you should be a restaurant, or you should go into a different business. Like if you're that good, then maybe you should scale up. But that's an excellent question.
Does it break down the classification of what a meal is? Like,
depends. Actually, funny you should ask that, because I have a juice producer who wanted to sell her stuff as Mikko. And I said, that means you can sell 60 juices per week. She's like, 60 juices, that's nothing. I was like, she's like, I sell these bundles with all this stuff. And I was like, can't do it as Mikko, because you have to define what the meal is. So you can do a meal with like an appetizer, entree, and dessert. That is a possibility, that's the meal. And you can sell 60 of those per week. But there is a boba shop, Mikko, in San Mateo County, and they can sell 60 boba teas per week. That's it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda.
Yeah.
I have another quick question. So on the bottom here, you're showing food truck, because I'm thinking about cottage home and then having maybe a food truck and go out on the road sometime. Is a food truck, can you also do a food truck with a cottage business?
I think that you can. I think that's kind of the same question as Crystal had, is that I think that as long as you have an other, I think you might be able to do both.
Okay.
You'd have to report it differently, because you can only make so much money at your cottage food business, which we'll get into. But I think that you can, I will ask. I will call the health department, and I said I'll find out next week. Cottage Food and other. I know for sure that you can't do Cottage Food and Mikko in the same place. I did ask specifically about that one once. And I think that this is just sort of an idea. So a lot of people are saying like, okay, what if I want to make more than 60? What if there's more people who want my food? So the idea behind this legislation is that this is sort of a starter for you. So it's kind of a low risk starting operation that you say, okay, is my food good? Can I sell it? Do I enjoy doing this? And if the answer to all three of those things is yeah, then maybe you do want to progress up to a food truck. Maybe you do want to progress to a restaurant. Maybe you want to start doing sort of a catering business out of a commercial kitchen and doing it from there. So I didn't put that on here, but like that's also an option. But I think that the view is that Mikko is a starter, that this is a way for you to start your business. 60 meals per day, no. 60 meals per week, 30 meals per day. So if you only operate 2 days a week, you can sell 30 meals twice a week, and then that's your work for the week. Crystal Gonzalez, I have a question for you. How many do you guys typically sell in a day? What days do you operate?
For us, we are just doing it on a part-time basis. And we typically maybe sell, well, like in terms of like plated foods, we would do maybe about 20 plates, about 20 plates a day. And we also work on the chef platform as well. And I'll talk more about the reason why we do both Mako and also chef. And you know, both have its limitations, and you know, and both have its pros and cons, which I'll share with you guys later on.
Actually, if you want to share right now, that's probably great. It's probably a good time for that.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay? I mean, I know that we had you at the end, but since you're here and you got an answer, like this is a really important information.
Yeah, so you know, the reason why we do both Mako and chef, you know, with the Mako aspect, you know, we have to do our own deliveries, and you know, and the delivery portion of it is that, you know, the furthest we could go in terms of distance to actually deliver to our customers is only about a 30-minute distance. So, you know, that's not that far. And the reason why they do it that way is, you know, you also have to think about keeping your food hot, and, you know, worrying about spoilage and things getting contaminated and so forth. So with Mako, it kind of limits us in that way, because we can't drive all the way to San Jose, for instance, right? But with Chef, what's great about it is that they do our deliveries throughout the peninsula, the East Bay, and also the South Bay as well, because they have hubs all over the Bay Area. So it helps to expand our reach. But the thing with Chef is that you can't make any dishes that have any seafoods as your proteins, and you can't prepare anything that's dairy based.
Okay.
And the same thing goes with Mako. Like, you can't make things that are dairy based, but you can prepare dishes that that have seafoods as your protein. So like if you want to cook shrimp or, you know, fish, you know, then you can serve those type of things.
That's really interesting. And so,
yes.
I mean, if the answer is I cook at home for Chef, then that's fine. I mean, I know it's technically not, but are you cooking in a commercial kitchen, or are you doing that from home?
So what's great about Chef is that they provide you with a commercial kitchen space. Yes. So that is a definite plus. And for Chef, you're also able to to choose how much you want to cook and how often you want to cook as well. Yes.
Okay, cool. Because we'll talk more about that later, but this is really good information. Thank you. I didn't know that. I've been meaning to reach out to Chef. It just has not been a super high priority.
Yeah, so if you guys have more questions about, you know, joining Chef, or, you know, just like our experience on the platform, like I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Cool. Let's save that until the end and
Okay.
then keep going here. And then we'll talk about that.
Sure.
Okay, so that's really exciting because you sort of indirectly answered the question, can you do Mikko and other? And it sounds like yes, right? But you're able to
Yes.
do both. It's just that you
Yes.
can't sell those chef ones outside of your house. So that's pretty cool. Okay.
Exactly.
And then so you have asked this question, what is a cottage food operation? And so the answer is that it's a home-based producer of specific types of food, all right? So specific baked goods, candy and confections, dried foods, nut butters, jams, vinegars. Pickles are on there as long as, like I said, you can't use certain ingredients. Like you can't ferment the pickles. You cannot ferment things. So you can't make kombucha, although I make kombucha. It's a damn good kombucha, but I can't sell it because it is fermented. All right. If you start as a cottage food producer, you kind of have two paths that you can take too. One of them is wholesale or food manufacturing. So if you want to start producing that food and selling it to other states, then you kind of have to go the food packaging, food manufacturing route. You can also become a caterer, or you could open a restaurant or a bakery, or something like that. So I spoke with a really lovely person in Pacifica. He makes jams. And I said, why did you decide to go the food manufacturing route? Why didn't you just do cottage food business? And he said, well, it's because I wanted to produce more and I wanted to be able to ship to other states. So that's why he went that route. So there's a lot of things that are going to be limiting that. But it is also, Chef Jocelyn is a platform. I'll just put this, I think it's chef.com. Yeah. It's for selling food that is there. So I saw in the chat earlier that somebody's interested in making Indian food, certain dishes. Chef could be a really good option for that. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so what is other, right? I've talked a lot about this. If you want to make non-shelf stable foods, so your food is like ice cream, or your food is pupusas, but you don't want to sell them hot. If you want to work with delivery services, or you want to store food somewhere, so you don't have enough stuff in your house, then you can't do it from home. All right. So like if you make jam and you want to make a jam that is not approved in the cottage food list because you don't have the right, you want to make lemon jam, like you can't do that at home, unfortunately. You have to do that somewhere else. And your options are sort of, number one is catering a restaurant. So you're producing food at a fully licensed certified kitchen that can be sold by third-party delivery services in food trucks or restaurants. We'll talk about this in a minute. Ghost kitchens have become really popular as a slang. We'll talk about what that is. And then option two is food manufacturing. So producing food at a fully licensed certified kitchen that can be packaged and sold wholesale at locations outside of San Mateo County, or by third-party vendors. And so you do need to get what they call a processed food registration for that. But it's definitely possible, and many people have done it. I actually have a book that I would recommend, since this is with the library. There's a couple of really good books if you do want to get into food manufacturing. One of them is called Good Food, Great Business. All right. Let me take off my screen really quickly and just show you these books. If you are really interested in food manufacturing, this is a great book. I read it this year. Good Food, Great Business. Take your artisan food idea from concept to marketplace. They not only talk about marketing, they talk about production, your different production options. Really love this book. So I'm sure that the library has it or can get it. And if not, Zach can write this down that he should get it. All right. Another one that I have gotten, but I have not yet read, is called Sell Your Specialty Food. It is by a different author. And so he is very experienced. He in fact had this older version, which I have both versions, but both are good, is this From Kitchen to Market. So all of these books are really highly recommended if you do want to get into food manufacturing. They also give you an idea of what it would take if you want to be a food manufacturer. So if you are a reader like me, then those might be enjoyable for you. Okay, so those are kind of the other category. Other is pretty broad. And when we talk about these fully licensed and certified kitchens, we're really talking about shared commercial, commissary, or ghost kitchens, okay? Ghost kitchen is a trap in terms of terms. A ghost kitchen is a delivery only kitchen. All right, so like restaurants will set up ghost kitchens, which means that they're producing the food, they're selling it on DoorDash, but they don't ever like have direct to consumer things. All right, a commercial kitchen or a commissary kitchen is a kitchen that is fully licensed that you can rent by the hour, by the day, on contract to use. All right, you can use a private commercial or commissary kitchen, right? You might set your own kitchen up if you decide you want to do this full time. This has its advantages. It's obviously more expensive, but we have a producer in South San Francisco called Tandy Way Chocolate. She makes brigadeiros. She started as a cottage food business in San Francisco, and then she realized she needed to scale up so she could sell more stuff. And I think she looked at renting commercial kitchen space and just decided, you know what? It's going to be a lot easier for us to have our own kitchen. And so they have a warehouse and a kitchen in South City, and that is the option that they chose. All right, you might be able to rent a restaurant's kitchen. This one is a little bit trickier. I've never actually heard of people doing this, but I know it's possible. But if you did that, then it would have to be during their off hours. So maybe there is a breakfast place or a brunch place in your town, and they want to make a little bit extra money, and you can start making your stuff in the afternoons or evenings there. Farmer market stand food vendor. That one is not specifically, but if you wanted to become a farmer market stand food vendor, basically what you become is a temporary food vendor. You use a commercial kitchen. This is falling in the other category, so we don't have a special class on that. But if you become a temporary food vendor, you can sell at the farmer's market as long as you're preparing your stuff in a commercial kitchen. So, or if you're a cottage food producer, then you just have to start selling at the farmer's market. In both cases, you have to become a temporary event vendor, which I can send you the forms for. It's not very hard. All right, thanks, Emily. We'll see you soon. Okay, so I know that you can rent a restaurant kitchen. It is a fully licensed certified kitchen, but whether or not they let you or they have restrictions.
Hey,
and then
Amanda?
the last, yeah.
Sorry, just a quick note on that. I have a renting a restaurant kitchen. So, you know, the company Urban Remedy?
No.
They do a lot of natural foods. I think they might even be you know, not cooked, like I forgot what they call it.
Like raw food? Is it
raw
like
foods? Like
yeah?
yeah, they're like a raw food company, and they have they started out in a small little location not far from my house, and then as they got larger, which was a commercial kitchen with a little retail space out in the front. And they got really big and very popular, and they moved to a large facility over in Richmond. But they still keep that little space there for the front wholesale, for front consumer.
Oh, nice.
And so the back is just a big kitchen that nobody uses. So I'm talking with them right now to rent that. So that, I guess I just wanted to mention that that's kind of renting a restaurant's kitchen, or possibly even a business that has grown too big for their kitchen and wanted to keep the retail space there, and their kitchen and back is just sitting there not doing anything. So
yeah,
we're negotiating on whether or not we rent it from them or I do this from home. So anyway. Just wanted to bring that up.
That's a really great point, and I think that that's a really good option. I didn't know about that. I will look into that. I'm sure there are other places that are like that in the Bay Area. There's like also one of our clients recently. She has been working as a temporary event vendor, so she sells food at pop-ups, and there's this place called Corner in Oakland, and they're opening a space with like commercial kitchen, and now she's going to be like a pop-up vendor there. So it's going to be kind of like a food hall, but like temporary things, but she's going to be cooking out of that space and selling direct to consumer. So there's a lot of options that are there. So that's cool. All right, the last one is other commercial or commissary kitchen space, and I think Urban Remedy sounds like a good example of that, right? That they had a storefront, they had this kitchen space, and they want to be able to do it. You may be limited, depending on what you're making, by the types of food certified at a kitchen. So one of our clients makes ice cream. She's amazing, but she has to make her ice cream at a facility that is approved by the California Dairy Board or something like that. They have to have inspected it. She cannot make it at just any commercial kitchen. She has to make it at a dairy approved kitchen. All right. And if you go that direction, you're not limited in gross sales. And you'll find out in a minute that if you are a Mikko or a cottage food producer, you are limited. I kind of hope that they will raise this given inflation, but I don't know that that is on their plans right now. But maybe we can hear about how to advocate for that from Crystal. All right. So just to recap, I put this in green because this is like the yes. Okay, both Mikko and cottage food producers have to work from their home. So you can't work from anywhere else. All right, you have to work in an approved kitchen. So in San Mateo County, that means that the environmental health department is coming to check you. If you are just selling cottage food, they actually don't necessarily check you, but that's a different issue. You have to get your appropriate food handling certificates. So if you are a Mikko, since you are running a restaurant, you actually have to become a food safety manager. That certificate is valid for 5 years, and you have to do it within 3 months of getting your Mikko. If you are a cottage food or a Mikko assistant, so if you're helping in a Mikko, but you're not the main Mikko operator, then you need to have either the food processor or food handler course, and that's valid for 3 years. So that's just making sure that you know proper food handling processes and whatnot. Somebody asked me, is this like prohibitively expensive? I don't think it is. I think that many people who want to work in Mikko and cottage food have worked in food service before, and so they probably know the process. But if I'm wrong, I'd love to hear from you guys. Is it expensive to get these?
No, the food handlers permit. I'm sorry, did I cut someone off?
Go ahead. It's okay.
The permit, the card, the food handler's card, I think we paid like $7 for it. For each one of our volunteers. And their certificate is, I want to say around 200.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's for the manager.
Yeah. The food
that's not bad at all.
It was 197, 200, something.
Not bad at all. Can you put in the chat where you found it? Because I know I've looked many times on the San Mateo County Health Department's website just to find out, just so I can pass that information on. And it's always like, find a certified course. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like,
yeah,
what do you search for?
It's on, everything is online.
Okay.
And then with the food management certificate, they'll send you to a physical place when you're ready to take your test.
Okay.
But I'll write that information down.
Super. That's great.
The certified safety manager, I actually just took it like 3 months ago. It's through ServSafe, ServSafe, 2 words. And once you're in their system, they're really helpful about figuring out when you have to update and stuff like that.
Nice.
I was able to get mine through my company, so they paid for it, which was nice. But once you get it, they'll also send you like little hey, you need to update it, it's about to expire kind of thing once you're in the system for yourself. So
that's great. Super.
Hey, Amanda. Just one thing that you might want to add, and I don't know if this is the same in San Mateo County. I'm actually over in Marin County, but my pickles are organic.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have to get a certification from the organic, health, environmental, whatever it is. So it's like a separate certificate altogether to be certified organic. Your kitchen to be certified organic.
Yeah. Do you have to yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I will mention that Emily, who just left, she makes this really great granola, and it is gluten-free, but she also cannot call it gluten-free because you have to really go over a lot of regulations to be able to say that it is gluten-free. Like there's big time certifications for that. So I think that that's a really good point. In both cottage food, there are very specific rules about what you can write on your labels. So I think that that's also a really good point. That's a good, state food safety, good. Okay, thank you, Crystal. All right, so I will add that if you want to have a separate certification, then you do have to do additional things. And so like the last thing about this is that both Mikko and Cottage Food producers are limited to 50,000 in gross receipts. All right, so if you sell your food for $20, I didn't actually do this math beforehand. That's like 4,000 meals, right? No, 2,500 meals in a year. And if you're only allowed to sell 60 a week, I don't know if you say you can't sell 60 a week every week. Let's put it that way. All right, if you do the math, if your food is $20.
Is it 50,000 for cottage food as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Which I find fascinating, right? Like for me, those are totally different things. Like you're selling a full meal versus like a jar of pickles or a box of cupcakes. But that's the rules. As I said, I think that could be a good space, especially as Mikko becomes more of a mature model, that they may want to raise that, right? I've also talked with folks from the county that like jumping from 50,000 to a restaurant is like a huge difference. Like it's almost unfathomable to be like, oh, well, I've been really doing well at this Mikko. Like now I'm going to open a restaurant. Like that's a pretty big jump. So maybe they will eventually raise that. But I think it's an important note. You do have to track your sales. So, all right. So just going really, again, deep into a Mikko. What is a Mikko? A Mikko is a small scale restaurant from your house. You can sell up to 30 meals per day and up to 60 meals per week, and it is run by a person or a family. All right. You can only have one other employee. All right. A Mikko is not a wholesale food production facility. You are not allowed to cater. It is not a commercial kitchen, right? Or commercial space. It's not a commissary kitchen. You can't let anybody else use your kitchen. You have to be using your kitchen. So that's really important. All right. Mikko's can sell hot foods direct to consumers. They can deliver food to consumers personally. I thought that was a really good point from Crystal. You have to be able to keep the food hot while you're making the delivery. So you may be limited in how far you can go. All right. You can also serve food for consumption on the premises, which I find is fascinating. You could like set up a little picnic area in your house. And you can sell dairy, cheese, and meat as part of dishes, but they cannot be the basis of the dish. All right. You cannot produce food to sell in a food truck or in a food store. You cannot use a third-party delivery service. You can't prepare the food on one day and sell it on the next day. So my husband makes this really great Polish stew. It's called bigos. It is amazing. But bigos is best after 3 days. And you cook it, and then the next day you cook a little bit more, and the next day you cook a little bit more, and then it's ready. Couldn't sell it, right? Because he has to sell it on the first day. All right. You can't produce dairy products and you can't use preservatives. So those are the rules for the Mikkos.
Hey, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
All Polish food is better after 3 days.
not pierogi.
Well, not pierogi, but łomkis are.
That's true. That's true. All the flavors get a little bit more together.
I am Polish, so.
Okay, very nice. All right. Mikkos can advertise on social media. I will share Crystal's amazing Instagram right after this when she has the floor. She does a great job. She wants to do better, but she's still doing a great job already. All right. They can accept payments in cash and non-cash, and they can hire an employee. So you can hire one person to help you cook, but you can't use more than that outside of your family. right? You cannot advertise at your house. So if you become a Mikko, you can't just like put a sign in your window and be like, hey, come get Polish food here. All right, you cannot sell at farmers markets or pop-ups or by mail. You can't cater, and you can't have more than one non-family employee. Okay, so if you do decide you want to become a Mikko, there's the 3 things that you really have to care about: hygiene, food handling, and business limits. All right, you have to have good sanitation. You have to keep clean. You can't have animals anywhere you're near your kitchen when your kitchen is in operation. So like I feed my cat. Her food is in the kitchen. I would have to move that when I was in operation. Food handling, this is why you need this food safety manager course, because you need to know about how to store your food, where to store it. You have to have a special space in your fridge for this food, or a separate fridge if you have that resource. All right. You need hot and cold water. You need a place to dispose of your waste. You have a way to monitor your quality. You do have to get that permit. And then the business limits, if you rent your place, you have to get landlord approval. You can't sell alcohol. The biggest thing, again, think restaurant, right? You have to prepare and sell the same day. And you have to have a set hours and menu. So you have to say, this is what I'm making. This is when I'm working, because theoretically the health department can come and check you out and make sure that you're doing all that stuff. And then sales and tax, you have to have a sales tax account with the seller's permit. Specific things, I'm not going to go through all of this. It's just in here so that you have it in an accessible way. But the really important piece is the hands and hair, making sure that you're treating your kitchen like a restaurant kitchen, that you don't want to end up with hair in your food. If you're bleeding, stop cooking. You need to do something with your kitchen grease. I assume that there will be some changes this year because of the composting rules in California, that you're going to need to start composting. But right now that is not in the rules. And you need to have ventilation, extinguisher, and a first aid kit. So, most people in their houses don't have those things. So you do need to prepare that that's something you're going to have. I also learned a lot about warewashing this year because I've planned a couple pop-ups in South City. Big deal. All right, you do have to have a 3-step process. You have to disinfect things at the very end. So not hard, just a thing to think about. In a post-pandemic world, can people come eat at your home as a restaurant? Yes, they can. So if you want them to sit there and eat, you absolutely can serve them that way. But you are limited to 50,000 in sales and 30 per week, or 30 per day and 60 per week. But you definitely can. You can do it even in the current pandemic world, Bobby. All right, you can do it anytime you want. So it's just your own risk level. All right, food handling. I've never gone through this course, so if you guys have specific questions about it, I highly recommend you talk to one of the ladies on this call who has already gone through this course. But the important thing is, again, that you have specific places in your house for specific things. So you've got a space for your utensils, for your kitchen, for your restaurant. You have a way of monitoring temperature control. You know that your food has reached the right temperature. Your storage is temperature controlled. All of those food safety things, so that people don't eat your food and then get sick, right? That's the important thing. The other thing that's really sad for me, because I have this like hippie dream of having a restaurant, you have to use approved source of ingredients. So you can't have a backyard garden and make stuff for your Mako from your backyard garden, even if you have really awesome stuff. So that's a bummer. You'd have to like register as a farm, which is a little bit weird. But I think they do that also for food handling, safety. So that's just a tip.
I put that information in the chat for the certificates and the
awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Amanda, you said you have to register as a farm?
I think you would if you were going to use it from your backyard, right? Like you'd have to be, because it has to be an approved source of ingredients. They have to show that you're doing it. That's speculation. Don't quote me on that.
Interesting.
As long as you're getting your ingredients from a reputable source that is also registered with the county or state, then I think you'll be fine. It's just that you can't.
Somebody else's farm.
Right. Somebody else's farm. It can be somebody else's farm as long as they have a farm, right?
That's right.
right? Especially if you're going to do the organic certification, like they need to know that this is coming from an organic farm and that this is what this is. All right. The one thing that I thought was really interesting about the Mikko requirements is the standard operating procedure. So I assume that that's probably the same for a real restaurant, not a real restaurant, but just like a commercial restaurant. You have to have set hours, you have to have your estimated meals per day, and you have to have that set menu. All right. You're tracking your sales, you have to have consistent documentation. You do have to get a seller's permit. And again, you do have to say on the application where you're going to advertise your business. So you can say that I'm advertising on Instagram, I am advertising on Facebook. There is I just read about this and I can't find it. It's in Alameda County, and they help you take orders, but they don't deliver. I'll see if I can find it again, but you just have to say what you do. All right, and so that's Mikko. All right. I just have a couple more slides to get through on Cottage Food, and then we have time for questions with me and with Crystal, who is our expert. And what is Cottage Food? Just to be really clear, CFOs can make specific types of food. I have a list. I actually have a lot of documents. So if you haven't filled out that sheet that I shared earlier, please go and fill it out. I will send you all the things that I have about the regulations and what you need to know. You can, as a CFO, sell food at third-party locations and for third-party use. There's two different types of CFOs. So there's like a type 1, and that's just direct to consumer, but type 2 is that it allows you to sell at wholesale options. You can deliver food personally, and you can advertise and take orders on social media, but you cannot produce non-shelf stable foods. So if you have a cream frosting that is just absolutely amazing, you can't do it. You can do chocolate covered strawberries, that's fine, but you can't do chocolate covered cream puffs. Right? You can't sell in another state, you can't sell in another county without permission. I see that a lot of cottage food producers do sell in San Francisco County, which means that they are pretty lax, I guess, or that the pop-up itself is not very restrictive. That's fine. If you can find a place that accepts you, then that's fine. And you can't use third-party delivery services or couriers or mail. Okay. Yeah.
Before you said you can't sell in another state. So what if you had a website and you were selling to consumers and somebody from New York wanted me to send them pickles? Can I not send them to them?
No, not as a cottage food producer.
Huh, okay.
You can only sell within San Mateo County. Now, if somebody from San Mateo County wants to buy it and ship it to them, or Marin County, then they can do that. But you personally cannot do that as the producer.
So I could sell them wholesale to a market, a grocery store, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And they can ship them wherever they want to ship them.
I think so.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it.
Okay.
Because at that point, you're selling it to the grocery store, right? And the grocery store knows the risk. They know what they're buying.
Right.
And if they sell that online, then that's a thing.
Okay.
But technically, yeah, they either have to pick it up from you or you can deliver within San Mateo County. But, once it's out of your hands, what can you do? Right? It's not your responsibility. I mean, maybe the state doesn't agree, but that's what I would say. Why no cream? Cream is not shelf stable. So if you don't keep it refrigerated, it can go bad. And if it goes bad, then your people get sick. So that's why.
What about if you do keep it refrigerated?
Still isn't considered cottage food because you can't refrigerate cottage food. So the idea behind cottage food is that it is shelf stable, 100%. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So if I made cupcakes with cream cheese frosting, I would have
literally says that, yeah, you can't do it. You'd have to do it in a commercial kitchen.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, is if I make the cupcakes at home, but frost them in a commercial kitchen, can I then sell them as a cottage food operation, or do I have to get something else? Because I've had this problem since the beginning. Like,
that's a tough question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um,
And a lot of people don't know. So they're just like, well, just don't get caught.
yeah, I mean, it says specifically in the cottage food regulations that you can't make buttercream frosting because you can't use, or like cream cheese frosting, because of the dairy. And in fact, I don't think you can make buttercream either because of the butter.
That was like, wait,
yeah,
butter is not what?
it is also dairy, right? So I think that you can't make buttercream or cream cheese frosting as a cottage food industry. Let me see if I can find my document. Give me a second.
Buttercream is so shelf stable.
I know. Let me see.
Amanda, does it matter if that dairy is cow milk or almond or oat milk? Does that make a difference?
That is not considered dairy. So if it's not from a cow, it's not considered dairy formally by the state. So if you did it with coconut milk, I think you'd be okay.
So I can make vegan frosting,
You can make vegan
fluffy.
frosting. Yeah. Let me just see here. So I'll just share this. You guys can see it. This is something I can send you afterwards. You can't make things with meringue powdered eggs, or pasteurized. Oh, sorry, you are allowed to make those things. So you can use frostings, icings, fondants, and gum pastes that do not contain eggs, cream, or cream cheese. So it looks like buttercream is okay as long as it's butter and sugar, right? Not.
It says vegan.
Yes, that's it. Okay, it says traditional vegan and chocolate. So buttercream is okay.
Oh, okay.
This
But
is
no,
the okay. This is the okay list.
Oh.
So these are the approved ones.
Butter vegan. That butter's dairy.
Yes, but apparently because of how it's made,
Okay.
it's not as unstable as cream. So you can use buttercream, traditional vegan and chocolate buttercream. You can do fondant, regular and chocolate, and you can make gum paste with pasteurized eggs, sugar glazes, and edible images, but you cannot use eggs, cream, or cream cheese.
Okay.
So if you did like cream cheese frosting, I think you'd have to produce all of it at the commercial kitchen, but you could probably produce the cupcake base at home and then just take it there and sell it out of there. But I think it would work as a, I think that you wouldn't be a cottage food, you wouldn't be selling as a cottage food operator in that case.
Okay.
Is my suspicion. I mean, you'd have to have a cottage food approval. I don't know, this is a tricky question. I will ask. We'll see what they say. Yeah, I mean, I have to call them anyway about all this other stuff. So well, we just ask about cream cheese frosting.
Can you scroll your screen up a little so we can see what number 10 says? Thank you.
Yep, vinegars and mustards. So mustards without eggs. You can't make egg mustard. And then the specific ones, vinegars are as long as you have high acid fruit.
And you're going to share this with us? Or?
Yes, as long as you put your email on that list, I'll send this out afterwards. Right. So one of the things that I got a lot in the first time that I taught this particular class was about the different types of baked goods, right? Can I make empanadas? Well, you can make empanadas, but they can only be fruit empanadas. You can't make meat or vegetable empanadas because those things have to be cooked in order to be done, and that makes it not shelf stable. You have to be able to refrigerate it, which is funny because I feel like fruit empanadas shouldn't be that different, but I guess it is. Yeah. So these are the things that are approved. You know, brigadeiros are on here as a cottage food thing. Or at least they were in the past. I don't know. You know, sometimes it's just easier to make a call and ask if it's okay than to worry about it too much. All right, so I will share this afterwards. So just to finish up this little piece, gotta get back to my screen. You can make those specific types of food, right? You can't sell in another state or another county without permission, and use third-party services, okay? In fact, Darcy, you know, you asked about if somebody from New York wanted to buy it, you'd have to send it by mail anyway, and so then you still wouldn't be able to do it. So even if they lived across town and they wanted you to mail it to them, you couldn't. All right, same basic rules. It's a little bit less restrictive to have a cottage food business. Sanitation, cleanliness, animals, same rules as Mikko. Food storage, understanding it, same rules. Hot and cold water, waste disposal. Like in this one, you only have to have the food processor or handler. You don't have to be a manager. And then the business limits on this one is very much about labeling. All right, your labeling is very interesting. So again, hygiene, safety, pretty much the same. That's just pretty standard for making food at home. Oh, I thought I had another slide. I might have accidentally deleted it. But the labeling is very specific. You have to have that this is made in a home kitchen, written in 12-point font. They literally specify how big the font has to be. You have to say what the ingredients are. You can't make claims like gluten-free or anything unless they come and check it. And then you have to say something else. So like those are very specific, but they're also outlined very clearly in the documentation. All right, so I think I might have accidentally deleted that slide, which makes me sad. I will find it before I send it to you. These are the additional resources that I have for finding more about, oh, here it is. I just moved it. There we go. Somehow I got it moved around. So inspection, as I said, your kitchen isn't even inspected if you're a Class A cottage food. So if you're making cookies, or I was thinking about making yeast cakes, which is very popular in Poland. Like I don't even have to have people come and check my kitchen. You just have to say, I know how to do this. But if you do want to sell to a store, then you have to have your kitchen checked. Okay. Again, the approved source of ingredients. And then, as I said, the labeled, packaged in accordance with regulation. You have to say made in a home kitchen. You have to list the ingredients. You have to list the allergen info. Okay. And so these additional resources have really specific rules. If you have any questions as you go through them, then you can ask. The one thing I wanted to say before I turn it over to Crystal and for sharing her experience and knowledge is, if you live in San Mateo County and you are thinking about doing a Mako, do it now because they still have 7 grants left of $2,500 to start your business. So they had this grant program that started in September to encourage people to start home kitchen businesses. And they still have 7 left as of last week, which means that only 18 have been approved so far in the county because they had 25 grants. So if you're thinking about it, do it. And you can use us for support. So without further ado, you've heard from Crystal a couple of times. She shared many good insights. Crystal, I spelled her name wrong in the text. Crystal and Ronald Gonzalez are Daly City residents and the owners of Helabom, one of the first Mikos in San Mateo County. They are producing Filipino and Guamanian chamorro food. They pay respect to other international cuisines, and I will let her take it from here. So Crystal, tell us about yourself, your journey with Mikko, and then everybody else, if you have questions, she's the person who has really the firsthand experience with it. So I'm going to put myself on mute so that we can hear from her.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be able to meet with you all, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity just to share my experience as a brand new entrepreneur. We became a legalized LLC as of last year, and yes. And we actually started Helabom back in 2018. And my background, so I graduated from San Francisco State with a hospitality and tourism management degree with an emphasis in restaurant management. And my husband and I, we've always been so passionate about cooking and the culinary industry. But at the same time, we know how hard it is to be in the restaurant business. It's not an easy business to be a part of. It's something that you really have to love and enjoy. and you have to really be passionate about, because you know there are going to be so many long days where where it feels difficult, but we feel that, you know, since we love this so much and we live and breathe cooking, you know, that's what pushes us forward. So you know, we began Hella Bomb before I left my job with the county of San Mateo. We had our first child in 2018, and we had to make that difficult decision, you know, for me to be a full-time stay-at-home mom, and us living in, you know, San Mateo County. It's such an expensive county to live in, you know, and, you know, to have only one stable income. And granted, my husband is still working full time with the county, with us, you know, running Hella Bomb. So Hella Bomb is, you know, my full-time job and my husband's part-time job. And so before I left the county, I decided to start Hella Bomb, not as a catering business, but, you know, I wanted to join the rise of everyone wanting to join the YouTube space and present food in that way, to teach people how to cook. So I you know, put up my first video before I left the county just to get the ball running. So that was the fall of 2018. And, you know, we really didn't, you know, have that extra income that we needed to support our family. So my husband and I thought, okay, you know, we should maybe start selling our food to our community. And, you know, before even doing that, we decided to you know, start small by selling, or by cooking for friends and family, just to get their feedback, to see, you know, is our food even good? And, you know, you may love you know, what you make so much, but, you know, if there's no market for it, if it doesn't taste as good as you think, you know, it's not going to sell. So that's why we reached out to friends and family to try our food, to see what they thought about it. And we didn't give it to just anybody. And you know, it's important to share your food with people who will give you really in-depth critique. You know, people who won't just say, oh, your food is good, your food is bad. Well, you know, that doesn't help you grow as a business. You know, you need the type of people who will tell you why it's good, you know, why it's bad, you know, so you could grow. And, you know, thankfully, you know, we had those people in our lives who supported our food and our vision, but also gave us you know, the critiques that we needed in order to you know, start building that early menu, you know, for Hella Bomb. And, you know, during that process, someone reached out to us, because we not only do like hot foods, but during that early stage, we had created something special called the Ube hot chocolate kit. And this person reached out to us because at the time our Ube hot chocolate kit was made with whipped cream. And this person who reached out to us said, you know, I don't think you could sell products with whipped cream. You should maybe look into, you know, the cottage food laws in California. And at that time, I hadn't, you know, we had no idea what cottage food laws were, you know, like it was just also foreign to us. And when I read these laws, or like when I read the approved list, it made me realize, okay, you know, like everything on our menu, we pretty much had to scrap because, Mako at the time didn't exist in our county. It was only approved in Riverside at the time. So pretty much everything in our menu, we pretty much had to scrap. And, we had to go back to the drawing board, as to what we were going to do. And, this was like, between fall 2020 and about January of fall 2020. Yeah, about fall 2020 and January of 2021, just trying to figure out what to do. And luckily being on Instagram and on Facebook, I saw that there was like an opportunity on the Chef platform, to be able to cook in a commercial kitchen that they provided for. And that pretty much like helped to answer that question for us. With what we were going to do with our business, since Mako wasn't a thing yet. So we joined the Chef platform. And with us working, or with us selling or preparing food for our friends and family, during that time we had created our menu. So with that, we were able to sell that onto the Chef platform. And then as of last year, July 2020, that's when Mako was approved in San Mateo County. And then from there, October 2020, that's when we were approved with our Mako permit. So and in terms of like, exactly how the Mako process works of like, applying for it, it's really simple and easy. You basically just have to go to that website that Amanda provided you guys with. And then from there, you'll have to fill out the Mako permit application, the standards of procedures. If you rent your the place where you live, if you rent that space, then you'll also have to fill out the rental application. And then what's great is that the permit fees are waived for you guys until 2023. So she is right that this is the opportune time to become Mako, or to do Mako if that's something that you're interested in. And you'll figure out whether or not Mako is for you or not, depending on what you're planning to sell. And
Crystal, I wanted to ask, how did you develop your menu? Was it stuff that you had made growing up, or was it something that you were like, let's be creative and experiment?
Right. So my husband and I, we're both Filipino. I'm Filipino American, and he was born in the Philippines. And for us, like, we love being creative, and we felt that this was our opportunity to provide our community with something that's non-traditional, something unique, because a lot of the Filipino food restaurants in the Bay Area, they're mostly mom and pop traditional Filipino food. And we felt that this was our opportunity to expand our cuisine in a way that hasn't been seen before. And there's a lot of younger Filipinos and Filipino Americans who are becoming more inventive with our cuisine. And we felt that this was such a great opportunity for us to shed light on our cuisine in a new and inventive way, but also share parts of Filipino flavors that haven't been seen before. So, when you try Filipino food, most of it comes from like the 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 mid region of the Philippines, or the northern region of the Philippines, but not so much in the southern region, where a lot of the flavors are actually closer in influence to Southeast Asia, like Thailand and Indonesia, Malaysia. So in those regions, they use lemongrass and turmeric. Yes, they use a lot of coconut, and the way that they use coconut is in a really creative and unique ways. So we want to shed light on those parts of a Filipino culture that's not seen or tasted.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I have a friend who makes really good Indian food, and he's like,
Yes.
yeah, pretty much in restaurants you get like Indian wedding food. Like this is not what people eat necessarily on a daily basis. And
Right.
I think that sometimes that experience is also for Filipinos in the Bay Area. It's like food from home, but a very like limited
Right,
palette.
right. So we want to make our food like recognizable, but then also elevated at the same time. And then also, who here has had Guamanian chamorro food? Like that's not a cuisine that's known, but it's slowly starting to make its way. Like I've seen different Guamanian food businesses pop up during the pandemic. So, I think it's a really great opportunity, for people who want to, test the waters and bring new flavors into the market.
That's great. Okay, so let's open it for questions. What can we learn from Crystal that you can't learn from me, because she's done it? She's the boss. A lot of our folks seem to be cottage food producers, but I'm hoping that we have some people who are going to take advantage of this.
Oh, and then in terms of trying to figure out how to sell our ube hot chocolate kits, that dilemma that we had with the whipped cream, we actually do a non-dairy whipped cream. Yes. So those times when you feel like you hit a wall and you don't know what to do, like that's when you're creative, when it's time to let your creative juices in.
Okay, we got a question from Jocelyn. How do you sell online? So how are you, or I think it's probably more a question of how you're advertising online.
Well, for us, we mainly do our advertising on Instagram and on Facebook. In terms of selling online, we handle, I guess, like our online portion through the chef.com space, and they are the ones who are responsible for handling our online platform when we sell through Chef. They also handle our customer service as well.
Crystal, I'm looking at your website. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So you actually answered my question right before I asked it, but it was kind of like, how do you find yourself if you're limited on like the whipped cream thing? You just get more creative. And it's kind of funny because my life has just been, for me personally, I'm not allowed to have dairy anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's just going to be, it's like, well, go advance in that. So yeah, but hearing you talk about this, yeah, it just makes me really excited just to kind of like, I get really stuck when I'm sitting here thinking about all this by myself. Like I've had the paperwork that Amanda has for like a year, all printed out, all ready to go, and half of it's filled out. So this is kind of like oh, everyone's struggling with these questions.
Oh yes, for sure. All the time. I mean, you know, there's things that um I dislike doing, but I still have to do them anyway. So um a a thing that I hate having to do is having to track my mileage when it comes to um when when it comes to having to do deliveries or you know, just having to do that type of paperwork. You know, that business aspect of it, you know, that's something that I honestly don't care to do. I'm more so a creator. I love you know, focusing on, you know, doing things like this, plating and cooking, like, you know, that's you know, my passion, or you know, taking beautiful food pictures. But at the end of the day, like we you know, at the end of the day, this is still our business, and you know, you have to you know, take control of all aspects of it, you know, whether or not you want to or not, you know, it is part of it.
Crystal, we got a question in the chat, and then Darcy
Sure.
also has a question. The question in the chat is about packaging. So how did you choose your food packaging? She asked about co-packers. That's typically for food manufacturing. So if you were going to be selling packaged foods like pupusas or something like that. But tell me about your packaging, because I know that you have to have certain packaging for delivery to make sure that the food stays fresh.
Right. So what's awesome about Chef? So when we first started, they really guide you, you know, with the full process of, like, you know, how to get started on the platform, the approved packaging. So they give you guidelines of like the type, like the size of the boxes you should use or the containers you should use. They give you advice about, you know, the best type of packaging that will protect your food and keep everything nice and sealed. They also give you tips on how to you know, make sure to keep everything nice and cool, so when it's being delivered to your customers, that everything is intact and nothing spoils. And what's also great about Chef is that they also provide you with insulated bags as well, you know, to keep all your food safe. So from working with Chef, that was a great benchmark for us when we started our Mako, because we already had the containers, because we're, you know, we're still working currently with Chef. So we do have you know, we already have those containers, and the containers that we buy them from Costco Business Center in South San Francisco.
My question, sorry.
No, I was going to say, Darcy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question was the name. Where did you get Hella Bomb? What's it come from?
Yeah,
Got to be a story behind it.
Well, you know, the term Hella Bomb, you know, it's a term that's used interchangeably. You know, it's used to describe something really delicious that you've eaten. It could describe someone's outfit, like, wow, you know, what you're wearing looks hella bomb, right? You know, and we live in the Bay Area, so the word hella just means a lot, many, like, yes. And the X in our name, so a lot of people ask, you know, how do we pronounce your business? Do we pronounce the X? Like, you know, what's the X about? And the reason why we added the X, so you know, when people talk about, you know, 5xing their business, 10xing their business, you know, expanding and reaching greater heights, that's what we are constantly trying to do with Hella Bomb, is to give you you know, that Hella Bomb experience time and time again in a extreme way.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We got a question from Jocelyn about how much chef costs. Like, how, I know that you probably set the pricing for it, and we'll talk a little bit more about pricing in a couple weeks. But, how did
Yes.
you decide to do that, and how much did they take?
Okay, so you basically get to set your own pricing on Chef. So to start on Chef, it costs no money whatsoever. And then in terms of setting the pricing for your menu, we decided that based on the types of ingredients that we use, because the ingredients that we use, it's not common.
You accidentally muted yourself. Come back. The last thing we heard from you is that the ingredients that we use are not common. You're still muted.
Yes.
Oh, now you're good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so the ingredients that we use are not common, and the methods we use aren't common as well. So we definitely put that toward the value of the type of food that we are presenting to our customers. So if you notice, our prices on Chef are slightly higher, because of the quality of our food. And also Chef also takes a 25% cut of every sale that we make as well. But when we do sell through Mako, the prices are slightly different, because we don't have to worry about paying those additional dues with every sale. But I do have to say that the 25% that Chef takes, we do feel that it's worth it, because they do handle 100% of our online platform. They also take care of our deliveries. And as I mentioned before, like, it's not just the peninsula. They also do the East Bay and South Bay, which is huge for us, because as a Mako, you are limited with your reach in terms of the customers that you could sell to. So
that's really interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say 25% seems steep, but then when you consider that, like, people who are selling through DoorDash, I mean,
yes,
that's pretty high too.
yes,
Once you look at all the delivery fees. So
yes, and gas prices are high too, and you also have to think about the wear and tear on your car as well.
Jocelyn asks, Chef comes to your house and pick up your food? No, I think they provide you a commercial kitchen in which to cook.
Right. So they provide a commercial kitchen. So you'll basically cook it the day before, and then you pick what delivery hub you want to drop it off at.
Nice.
And you would do that the following day.
So Crystal, with being with Chef, is this different than Mako?
It is.
So it's
different.
you're doing both things simultaneously. So you're serving your 30 meals a day, and then you're serving your Chef offerings at there. That's pretty cool. That's like you're maximizing. So what else did you have to get besides your Mako to be able to work in the other commercial kitchen?
Well, for us, we like that's when we decided to become an LLC.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of, like, the biggest pieces of advice that I could give before you even think of, like, legalizing your business, like, if you do want to legalize your business, is to make sure to talk to a CPA and also an attorney as well. That will really help you come tax season. Yes, in terms of how you want to be taxed as a business.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and also like the type of legal protection that you'd want for your business, and also your personal assets as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, and you do have to get like, well, we'll talk a little bit about this in brief, but you do have to get your business license for this, and I know that Daly City just recently changed the rules so you actually could get a business license for this. So,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
it's great that you mentioned that too. So on top of your Mako, once you get approved, you also have to reach out to your city to also see if there's any additional requirements that that you need in order to run your Mako in your city as well. So so there was some paperwork that I had to file with Daly City in order to be able to run our Mako here.
All right.
Yes.
Crystal, your insights have been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for coming and sharing all of this. I learned a lot too today, so that's also exciting. Maybe you'll be interested in teaching this class the next time that we have it. Just think about it. You got this LLC now. You can put everything underneath it. Anyway, we are approaching noon. Next week, as I said, we're going to be talking about your unique value proposition. So I love what Crystal was talking about today, because she was talking about how they are focused on a different type of cuisine than what you can get in restaurants. This is their unique value proposition, right? They have a customer segment that they're trying to reach. And so we'll talk about what that looks like for your business, whether or not it is a home business or a commercial kitchen business. We can talk about both. The conversation is similar. And then, as I said, in 2 weeks, we'll be talking a lot about how to value your product. So I like that Crystal started talking about how they price things differently on the different platforms. I think it's important, and it's absolutely 100% okay. It is called channel marketing, and it is a really important piece of how you make your business profitable. So I look forward to having you guys join me in the next 2 weeks. If you can't make it, I'll be disappointed, but I also understand that people have lives. So next week, 10 a.m. If you haven't filled out that thing, I will send an email today or tomorrow morning with all the information that I presented today. Hopefully by that time, Zach will have the recording and he can send me that to send out in an email as well. And with that, please feel free to contact me and we'll be in touch. So see you next week. Do we have any final questions? Nope, sounds like good. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good one.